Hi guys, it's January 27th, 2022, and this is Carol K. Perry. I'm coming to you from home, and sadly, you can't teach old dogs new tricks. Well, this is my first time using a selfie stick. My husband Charlie bought one and some other things for me, some gear, if you will. Not this past Christmas, but the Christmas before, and this is the first time that I've used it, so that's kind of sad. At any rate, I thought I would take you along. We're in the middle of coronavirus still, obviously. And if you watch the news at all, you see that, it doesn't look good on the financial front. It doesn't look good as far as, the thought process as to whether or not we're going to go into a recession, if the supply chain is going to get even tighter and we're going to get goods even slower than we've gotten them in the past. So Charlie and I redid our pantry. I don't think we put a video up. I did put some pictures up, but this is what we ended up doing. And I want to just give you an idea of what, as a mom, right? Because I stayed at home and raised my kids the majority of the time. I started out in the military and then I raised my kids and went back to school, became a nurse, and then took care of my mom. So long story short, I'm at home right now. And this is my pantry. So what do I consider stocked? What's a good baseline? And what's a good baseline during COVID? I've gotten comments whenever I put the pantry pictures up. I made kind of a list on an old chalkboard with some potential meals. So if I'm at a loss and can't think of what to make, I can come in here and look at my board, and these are meals that I typically make. So I have recipes for, or I've made in the past, and I just put it on a board so I can come in here and go, let's see, I think I want to do beef because I haven't done beef in a while. So I'm going to take a look at the beef on my board and see what I can make. So basic pantry staples. Here's my idea of what that looks like. Let's start at the top. And you see that I have a bread maker. I have some Instant Pots. There was a graduation party, and rather than cater it, I decided to get Instant Pots. They weren't that expensive. I think I got them maybe $80 a piece, and did country ribs in a Dr. Pepper / Sweet Baby Ray's sauce. They were phenomenal. Didn't have to pay for the meat, didn't have to have it catered. So with the thought that down the line, whenever I want a can, now I have these Instant Pots. So, and there's been more than one occasion that I've used them, simultaneously. So they've come in handy. All right, so let's look here. I have some Ziploc bags. I have cups that I can't currently get lids for. They've become a commodity with GFS. Yeah, I think it's GFS. And the cups are available, the lids are not available. But I like using those for leftovers. I like sending soup to work with Charlie. I like using them, let me show you this. I like using those for homemade ice cream whenever it's frozen. They're perfect. They don't, it doesn't stick to the sides like a styrofoam might, and I don't have to, do a silicone container. One of these days down the road, maybe if I continue making it consistently, I'll do a silicone container. All right, up here, pecans, brown sugar, chocolate chips, walnuts, almonds. We have French's onions, candy bars. That would be Charlie's. That's his thing. Croutons, powdered sugar, cornmeal, breadcrumbs, wheat germ, pancake mix. Come down here. Then we have flour, sugar, bread flour. Big difference. Now, hiding behind this, and I'm going to try to take this down. This lid's a little faulty, so I don't know if I trust this. Hiding behind it is my semolina flour, my organic flour, my double O pizza flour. So all of this stuff is kind of sandwiched here in my flour section. And the only thing aside from that, I'm gonna have to rearrange that. The only thing aside from that is this huge container, which I bought. It's actually a dog food container, but it's food safe. And Calvin, my son Calvin, was nice enough that he helped me fit the 50-pound bag of flour that I purchased inside of here. I haven't opened it yet because I had some King Arthur flour that I still needed to finish, and that's what I'm finishing up with my bread flour. So then we go on to regular rolled oats, quick oats, and behind that I have all of the things that you would want to make granola or breakfast bars: coconut, slivered almonds, raisins, cranberries, dried cherries, all of those wonderful little add-in things. Obviously they can be used for other things as well, but the intention is to have them for oatmeal add-ins and breakfast bars. Then kind of stuck in and snuck in between here, I have yeast. There's another pack in there as well. And what I do is I cut this open whenever I use it, and then put the bag back in the food saver, suck the air out, and that's how I store it. It's probably not the perfect way of storing it. I'm gonna work on that. I'll probably get a darker jar because it's kind of a pain in the behind whenever I have to open it. All right, Rice Krispies, Charlie's favorite, which is Corn Flakes. This is where, and I need some more Raisin Bran goes. Then popcorn, oyster crackers, Ritz crackers, saltine crackers. And you can see I just kind of put them in this. And then the bigger boxes are hanging out in the corner back there. Let's see if I can give you a peek so you can see them. So whenever it's time to refill these, that's where that stuff is going. So these shelves being 18 inches deep, I believe is what they are. That's the beauty in it. These take up some room up front, but I can sneak things behind it. All right, now let's go on to pastas. And of course, pasta maker. Some spuds. Those hash brown potatoes are great for casseroles as well. If you don't want to cut potatoes, all you do is rehydrate them, mix your cheese and cream and mushroom soup or whatever you're going to mix in with them, and go from there. So they make it super easy and convenient. Then some of the sweets. So pineapple, milk. I have back here graham crackers in a container, as well as vanilla wafers. So as long as I have cream cheese in the fridge, which I do, I can whip up a cheesecake at any given moment. And with pudding here, I can make a banana pudding, provided I have bananas. All right, let's go on to here. So good old Kraft American mac and cheese. Everybody loves that. Some lasagna noodles, thin spaghetti noodles. We do make our own pasta. I did get a pasta maker attachment for the KitchenAid for Christmas, and we have used it quite a bit. So this will probably never go away. I'll probably always keep a stock on hand, especially in the environment that we're in right now, just in case I couldn't get semolina or double O flour to make pasta with. Then I always have a backup, and the shelf life for this is, you know, long, so I'm not too worried about it. Beans, rice, barley. So for soups and add-ins, if I want to make chili from scratch, good to go. All right, let's go here. Now we've got P.F. Chang's teriyaki, and I make my own stir-fry kits, which I'll show you maybe real quick in the freezer. And this is Alfredo sauce, spaghetti sauce, barbecue sauce. Then we get into pizza sauce, mushrooms, and this is all of the junk. This is chips and things that kind of get brought home, and that's where they hang out. And then for casseroles, you always want a nice stock of cream of chicken soup, cream of mushroom soup on hand, and some backup soups if I don't want to make a soup from scratch. chili mac. This stuff is amazing. It's not always easy to find, but basically all you have to add to it is tomatoes. And what we generally do is add the ground beef and a can of chili ready tomatoes, and I'll show you those, and a can of regular tomatoes, and do kind of a double batch with a couple of cans, and it makes a really nice, you know, not super spicy, but it has a little bit of a bite to it, chili. All right, and then we get into beans, and this is the ongoing joke. My mom, who passed away last year, she loves Spam. She was raised in Texas with a really big family. They moved up to Missouri. That's where she had my brother and I. My older siblings, Sylvia and Sheila, were born down in Texas. My brother, Cecil Jr., and I were born in Missouri. But Spam made it all the way from Texas to Missouri. And then whenever she moved up here, became a Michigan thing as well, because my mom loved it. And I kind of grew up on it too, I'm gonna say. But I don't make it, okay, usually. But it's here as a staple. Tuna fish, pink salmon, beans. Then we get into all the basic stuff. The corn, green beans, chili ready tomatoes, pasta sauce. That's the chip clips. This is some of the storage if I want to make a little casserole. And this is kind of like my critical area. My critical area, because I rely heavily on these whenever I make any of my, and I'll show you out my freezer. Whenever I do fajitas, I'm not currently making my own fajita seasoning. Eventually I probably will, but I'm so pleased with the McCormick that I just buy it like this. And I have my seasonings. I have a couple of store-bought soups, you know, just basic things that you can throw a meal together and marinate it beforehand and throw it on the grill later, or you got on hand. You don't have to stop and go to the store, which I think is one of the biggest pains to cooking, because if you don't have it, you're not going to make it. Who's going to run out 20 minutes each way to go to the store to get a package of seasoning and then sit and let it marinate for another half hour in the fridge and then put it on the grill? You're going to be 3 hours later. It's not an effective use of time. And although this may seem excessive to some people, I see it as good organization, because my seasonings have a great shelf life and I use them religiously. All right, and then we get down to potatoes, rice, pastas, all of the stuff that's fast. Now, my regular potatoes, I'll show you what I do with them. I do have a space down here. Whoa, sorry, got a little wonky there. That I keep my onions, regular potatoes, and whatever before they're cut. And then down here, there's oils and syrups and, you know, just other things that you need in your pantry. And down here is where my garbage bags hang out. So that's kind of my pantry organization. Now let me show you the freezer. Right now it's not stocked to the hilt, but it's pretty well stocked. And what I like to do is buy a nice amount of meat all at once. So the bigger packs, and whenever I bring the bigger packs home, you see I have the oil inside, I have my seasonings. And then what I do is stuff like this. Let me find an example. All right, Parmesan chicken. So I have it well labeled, and essentially what I did was took one of those seasoning packs. From that big pack of chicken, I threw my Parmesan seasoning into this one. I threw Parmesan seasoning into this one. Let's see, I know I have some fajita and other things here. Okay, that one's Cajun chicken. So I think you get the gist. Whatever seasoning I know that I'm gonna use, then I throw it in those bags, I seal it up, then I put it out on the counter, let it thaw, throw it on the grill, and it's fresh and ready. So I didn't run this store, and yes, I'm leaving my freezer open, but I think it's probably probably 5 degrees right now, maybe 10, so we're not gonna sweat that. Anyway, so without wasting the time to go to the store to get the seasoning, to get the oil, to get whatever I might need, marinate it, which by that point I would have made it, I can pull it out of my freezer. So I prep all at once, I seal it, I put it away all at once, and then it's good to go. It's ready to go whenever I need it. All right, let's move on. Roast kits. You may have seen these in grocery stores. So, might have an avalanche. So I make my own. I throw my seasoning mix in there. I throw my roast in there. I cut up my onions and carrots and potatoes and throw it together and seal it up. So what happens is, whenever it's time to make that roast, I can pull out my Instapot or my crock pot, whatever I want to make it in, throw it in the bottom, frozen, throw the vegetables in the bottom, frozen, take out my seasoning pack, add a little bit of water, right? Mix it up, or oil, whatever needs to go in it, dump it on top, close it, and it's done. So I literally can take this and in 5 minutes have dinner started and I'm finished for the day. Now, whenever I put these together, it may take me a few hours, but again, I'm not running to the store. I'm not wasting the roast. I'm not fretting about, you know, what I'm gonna make for dinner. I have that information on my board, right? Do you see the logic there? All right, moving on. This is the ice cream, let me see, the ice cream maker for the KitchenAid. So I'm gonna put that down for a second. This is the stir fry kits I make. So what I put in here is chicken tenders, right? Because they're already cut up and I don't have to monkey with it too much. A big pack from Sam's Club of the stir fry vegetables. Then I break it down between these. And then you see the cashews. I get the unsalted cashews, make this little pack up. So then what it's gonna entail whenever it's time to cook, let me just put my ice cream maker thing back in here. What it's gonna entail when it's time to cook is I need garlic and onion, which you can also throw in your freezer. I could pre-cut all of that or just get the peeled garlic, or the, you can even get chopped onions these days. You can grab that out of the freezer, throw it in with your oil, throw everything in frozen. I usually let my chicken and things rest on the counter for an hour, maybe 2 hours at most. A lot of times I'll just run it underwater. And then whenever it's ready and good to go, I throw the teriyaki seasoning in and it's wonderful. I do have lo mein noodles that I was able to get, and I'll show you those inside. But instead of having to go to P.F. Chang's, there you go, good to go. All right, beef stew. I don't know if you can see all of this. So those are my meal preps. Lasagna, I got on a kick and made a huge thing of lasagna. Broke it down into, I don't know, probably 6 big trays and 4 or 5 small trays. So I made lasagna all day one day. It probably took me, I don't know, 5-6 hours at least. But now I throw them in the freezer at 275 for the first little while. Probably, I don't know, probably 45 minutes to an hour. And then I take it off and kick it up to 350 and brown the top. They're good to go. So, and I think I told you I was gonna show you the lo mein noodles, which are really yummy. And all you do is boil them like spaghetti. So there is my variety of things. Oh, I didn't show you how I keep my beef. That's actually pretty cool. And I have to credit my daughter Hope with this one, because I was throwing mine in the freezer probably in bigger chunks, and she froze hers flat, which is really nice because you throw it on the counter and it thaws quickly. This actually is already made up taco meat. The other thing that I do is Fiesta chicken. I make that in a huge batch in the crock pot, or in the Instapot, and then I break it down and I freeze it flat, and then all you have to do is thaw it, put it on your warm tortillas, and you're good to go. Meatballs, I make those in a big batch and break it down. This is Thanksgiving turkey from Thanksgiving that was left over. I broke it down into packages, put it in the food saver, and last night, because I have my flours and all the basic things that I need, last night I whipped up a couple of crusts and made a turkey pot pie because I have the frozen vegetables. And so it comes down to preparation, it comes down to planning. And if you're looking for advice, for those of you who've asked me, well, what do you do? I never know what to make for dinner. I would start with, what do you make most often? Now, what do you make most often that you can then break into smaller portions and freeze, or skip some of the steps? If you know that you're going to use ground beef that's already prepared, and you know you're going to use it in the next month or so, go buy a pack of 5 or 10 pounds of ground beef, brown it all up, break it into the sizes that you normally use, freeze it. You could even, season it with your onion and salt and pepper, whatever you think is your basic staple before, so that it's good to go. Let it thaw on the counter, boil your noodles, do whatever you're gonna do, throw it into your casserole. You just skipped, how much prep time, how much cleanup time by doing it once. And that's what I do. I do it once. And I know that people are just now getting into this whole prep thing. I've done it for many, many years, probably because being in the military and then being stationed in Guantanamo Bay, we were dependent upon the barges coming over. If you weren't prepped, if you didn't have a good supply and the barge didn't make it, guess what? You had nothing, because there was one place to go get groceries. So you learn, and probably growing up, because my mom came from a big family, and she was always pretty well prepared. Our cabinets were never empty. And I think if you are smart about things, you can minimize the waste, break things into portions, and I'll make more videos. I'll show you how I do my chicken. I'll show you what I do with my beef. I'll show you how to make those basic roast packs if you want, a tutorial. All of those basic things. If you don't have a food saver, it's not imperative that you have one. This is a food saver. I went many, many years just using plastic bags, Ziploc bags. It's not imperative, but I'll tell you what, the difference between using that and using Ziploc bags is huge. And because you can cut that open and you hear it, right? The air releases, you know that no bacteria has gotten in there. It hasn't dried out. Nothing is crystallized on it. And I'll tell you one thing that I really don't like at all. I don't like buying meat at the grocery store on a styrofoam tray with those little pads at the bottom, throwing it in the freezer, getting it out, letting it thaw, and having that nastiness that you have to cut into. It has such a thin wrap on the outside. You get ice crystals on top, and then by the time you take that thing out or let it thaw, it's nasty or it's stuck to it. I hate that. And this alleviates that. I bring the meat home, divide it up, put it in these little packages. One, it's in the portions that I generally cook with. That's a good place to start. Two, it's not going to get freezer burn, at least not as quickly. Three, it doesn't have that extra yuck on it, so I can put it on my counter, and I know that if it's frozen, I have to put it under water. It's not gonna get that soft. Have you ever gotten one? It has that soft plastic with the cotton in between layer, and the thing starts to rip whenever you're thawing your meat, and it kind of tears off from the side. It just grosses me out. So if you can afford a food saver, I highly recommend them. I think they're wonderful. I've used them not just for that, I've used them to pack things whenever we're going camping. I've used them to seal, small items together if I want to bag it and I don't want to lose it and I want to tuck it away somewhere. So that's my basic Pantry. I'm gonna go shopping today again, just because some of the videos that I watched, some of the news that I watched, it's a little concerning about what's coming, and I don't want to be underprepared. I don't want to be, crazy about it, but I don't want to be underprepared if what we're getting on trucks is even more limited than it's been. I know I've got a good basic stock, but some dry goods, some of the things that might be in shorter supply. I'm gonna get another 5-pound bag of sugar. Just the things that that you use. I'm probably gonna buy another 4 boxes of butter and stick those into my freezer, because if for whatever reason I can't get it, or I don't wanna run out, then I'll just pull them out of my freezer. So that's what I would encourage you to do. If you don't know what to make, start with what you generally make, streamline it, and then think in terms of what could run out. What could we be short of? What during this last, time that we went into lockdown, what was hard to get? What were the shelves empty of? Cereal? You might want to switch to oatmeal. You might want to think in terms of making your own breakfast bars, making your own granola, and having those supplies on hand. Then if you're out of it, you can't get it, at least you have a nice backup that's somewhat similar to what you're used to. So that's all I have for today. I hope you guys stay safe and take care of yourselves, and I'll see you later.